All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 6th meeting of the North Carolina Local Government Commission. As State Treasurer and Chair, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Cindy to call the roll, please.
All right. Alderman Good. Here. Person. Secretary Marshall is here in person. And we have Ms. Jacobs here in person and designate Secretary Penny. Mr. Butler, also here in person.
Here.
All right, online, I see Ms. Hoffman.
Here.
Thank you. And Mr. Philbeck.
Here.
And Mr. Burns.
Here.
Thank you. And
Ms. Harvey is with us.
okay, Ms. Harvey, can you test your mic? Ms. Harvey? Treasurer Falwell? One more time, Ms. Harvey, can you hear us?
I can.
There we go. Okay, perfect. We have a quorum.
Good. Housekeeping.
Yes, and I'm going to call, just for the record, the members of LGC staff in person are Sharon Edmondson, Secretary, Jennifer Wimmer, Director of Debt Management, Susan McCullen, Director of Fiscal Management, Debbie Tomasco, Director of Policy, Tech, and Operations, myself, Cindy Aiken, Counsel for LGC, Ben Garner, General Counsel for DST, and Victoria back on the tech, Victoria Hudson. Just a quick housekeeping, Treasurer, if I may. Just a reminder that this room has sensitive microphones. If you need to have a private conversation, please do so in the hallway. If you are participating virtually, either as a member or unit participants, please remember to mute yourself when you're not speaking. That helps us a lot. If we happen to lose power or the audiovisual connection during the meeting, the actual broadcast of audio and video will probably be continuing. So assume if you are virtual or in the room, there will be a broadcast continuing until we can get to watch. If you have a private conversation, just don't do that here. But when the connection is resumed, we'll continue. Treasurer, you'll probably say this later, but if our past practice is still acceptable, without objection, if you made a motion or a second, we will not call your name in the roll call votes that will deem you as a yes vote. Welcome to all our guests.
Good. Thank you, Cindy. With that, we'll go and I'll ask you to stand and the day before December 7th and join us for our pledge of allegiance and ask Secretary Marshall to lead us in our salute to the North Carolina flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of North Carolina and pledge to the old North State love, loyalty, and faith.
Thank you all. Members, we have a conflict of interest statement. You have the agenda that's been before you. Does anyone, after reviewing the agenda, after taking a moment to review the agenda, have any actual potential or appearance of conflicts of interest regarding any matters that are before us today?
I do not, but I think the secretary just wanted me to know, obviously I'm his designee and he resides in Clayton, so I just wanted to put that out since that was on the agenda.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 1st.
So moved. Slarterwood.
Motion and second being made. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Secretary Marshall.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, November 1st minutes. Ms. Jacobs?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Mr. Butler? Ms. Harvey?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Philbeck?
Aye.
Treasurer?
Before we go to our next item, I want to call attention that in our meeting minutes, we have taken this Member Butler's recommendation to start attaching the OPEB report in our meeting minutes. So thank you for that suggestion, and that will be contained in our meeting minutes from here forward. So those that are affected, we'll kind of talk about them really quickly sometimes, or other members, interested members of the public will be able to view what the unfunded healthcare, pension, and LEO liabilities are for the communities that come before us and ask us to endorse them for foreign money. With that, we are very pleased today to welcome the officials from the town of Pikeville. I will read I will call off the list of the guests that are with us. Then we'll go through the ceremony that we've all been waiting for some time. Garrett Johnston, Mayor. Put your hand there. Robert Hooks, Commissioner. Hey, Robert. Steve West, Commissioner. Okay. I could.
He's not here, sir. Next one.
Okay. And Nick. Lyman Galloway, Commissioner. Hey, Lyman. Kathy Field, Deputy Clerk, Building Clerk, Interim Town Manager. Tim Biggerstaff, U-Town Manager. Good afternoon. And Wendy Holland, Finance Officer, Town Clerk. We'd like to welcome all of you to this event. Next, I'd like to present the Pikeville resolution, and then I'll ask for a vote. We'll ask whoever from the town who would like to come up and say a few words for the record. We welcome you to do that. And with that, let me get the resolution. Sorry. Thank you. We're very pleased today to share and vote on this resolution to return financial control back to the town of Pikeville. Whereas the local government commission assumed control of the financial affairs of the town of Pikeville pursuant to their authority under North Carolina General Statute 159:18(c). And whereas the town staff and elected officials have worked diligently and collaboratively with the commission to address and correct the deficiencies which led to the commission's assumption of financial control and put the town on a path of fiscal health and sound and effective fiscal management. Whereas the town officials, town staff, commission staff have completed or will complete the activities listed in the attached document to facilitate the return of the financial control to the town. And whereas the commission staff will continue to monitor the town's compliance with the local government budget and fiscal control act under North Carolina General Statutes 159 Article 3 of the town's financial health and its fiscal practices. Now, therefore, be resolved that the commission returns full control of all financial affairs in the town of Pikeville to its elected board and its properly designated fiscal officers. I, Sharon G. Edmondson, Secretary of the North Carolina Local Government Commission, that woman from Raleigh, not in there, sometimes referred to as that woman from Raleigh. Is that right? Among other things. Do hereby certify that the foregoing is a true and correct copy of the resolution adopted by the North Carolina Local Government Commission at its meeting, which was held December 6th, 2022. Signed, Sharon G. Edmondson, Secretary of the Board. This is a great day for Pikeville. I'd like for whoever is going to speak on behalf of Pikeville to come and join us for a few moments. And after that, we'd like to get the local government commission members around.
But I just definitely want to say thank you for your help. I want to encourage other towns the resource that we have, the LGC. It's been tremendous working with you guys. The professionalism has been inspiring for us to want to step it up. And we really enjoyed Eric and Michael's help and having the resource of being able to call and, on you guys to help us get back on track. I've got a strong team, and we will maintain.
Now, who did I see at the fire station the other day?
That was me.
There was out on a fire because he had to get off the garbage truck to go in for a burning car on the highway, right?
Wow.
I have a good memory, don't I?
Pretty close, yeah.
I just didn't get fed while I was there.
I apologize for that.
I remember that. But no, I went to the city hall to look for the mayor. They said we got somebody called out sick on the garbage truck today, and so I went to look for him on the garbage truck, and they said, well, he just got called to put out a fire for a vehicle. On what highway was that?
795.
So that's where I went out there to look for him, and then he put the fire out, came back to the fire station, and that's when we got together. Well, congratulations, Mayor, and this bears repeating. All we want is to partner with people who understand that we're not conquerors, we're rescuers, and we're very, as a first responder, we're very pleased to be able to play a part in Pikeville's rescue. And it's pretty simple for us: transparency, competency, and good governance. So before we have the wedding pictures here, as I was handing the key back to you, I'd like to go around, starting with virtually any board members who would like to say anything before we go to those that are present. Any of the commission board members who'd like to say anything about Pikeville before we call on those that are in the room?
I was very pleased driving up here yesterday to hear it on statewide public radio. I don't know if anybody else heard it or not, but it was on statewide news yesterday.
Burns or Hoffman or anybody would like to say anything?
Only to say congratulations to the people of Pikeville and to their elected officials. This is what the system's supposed to do, and thank you to our staff for helping them through the process.
This is Mike Philbeck. I would simply echo what Mr. Burns said. Very good job, well done.
Yes, it's a good day, and thanks to everybody for their participation. And it's a good partnership.
Thank you. Ms. Marshall, Secretary Marshall.
Well, I join in with the amens. I don't know exactly what the population of Pikeville is these days, but those citizens deserve good services. They elected you to do that. You've now gotten yourself back on the right course. They should be very proud of you. I hope they recognize this great achievement. So you're going to be congratulated. Sometimes it's hard back home, but let them know that we all support you very, very strongly.
Okay. And Ms. Harvey, I'm sorry, I didn't see your picture there. I'd like to give you an opportunity to say something if you like.
I'll just echo the congratulations that others have stated. Love to see the system working and people taking ownership and control of their government. So.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Butler?
I already spoke. Told them I was glad to hear it on statewide radio yesterday.
It's designated.
I will just say congratulations and speaking to the secretary about it. When he noticed that it was on the agenda, he said excellent news. So congratulations again.
Ma'am, all this is your opportunity to be nice and kind. So I just want to give the floor to you.
Thank you.
I would just say that I think that it's a day of pride that a town like Pikeville can set the example for many cities and towns bigger than you are. And that just ought to be an awesome feeling to know that you are the example setter. And I commend you for being the example setter. I grew up in Route 1 Cove City. It's much, much, much smaller than Pikeville, and I know how much pride we take in our little town. So again, to be the example setter to cities and towns much bigger than you are is a day that you should be commended and be marked down in the history of Pikeville.
Sharon?
First, I want to say thank you to the town. Y'all made this a much less difficult process by being cooperative with us and communicating with us and allowing us to communicate with you. It doesn't always go quite that easily, and so we really appreciate your efforts in that area. Second thing I want to say is thank you to your staff, because I know Eric and Michael worked with them quite a bit to try to get things back in line, and including Gary Pittman, your contracted bookkeeper. And we appreciate all of their efforts. Thirdly, I want to recognize my staff that worked so hard with the town. Susan McCullen is the director of fiscal management. The fiscal management staff is the one that did all the work. And particularly Eric Faust and Michael Milam. And you guys stand up so everybody can see. Thank you. A lot of hours, a lot of miles working with Pikeville.
Mayor, let's have you recognize your folks individually and part they played in this.
Oh, absolutely. Wendy Holland, Kathy Fields, they both have teamed up and worked extremely hard. They've been very cooperative, obviously. They've done an amazing job. I feel confident. We were all kind of nervous about getting the control back at one point, but watching these two perform, we've had no issue. We're really excited to have them take over. Tim Biggerstaff, he's our new town manager. This is his second day. This might be a little overwhelming for him, but he's getting an idea of what he's in for. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna bring all the pride we can back to Pikeville. And the commissioners have been absolutely amazing. Commissioner West, Galloway, and Commissioner Hooks. They've been absolutely the whole board. We went through some difficult times together on multiple occasions, and it really bound us together. We've probably got one of the best functioning boards Pikeville's seen in a while, and I couldn't be prouder of them.
That's great.
Mr. Biggerstaff, are you a country music fan?
Sometimes, yes, sir.
Before you were born, the Judds had a song, when you hit rock bottom, there's only two ways to go, sideways or straight up. You're sort of the reverse of that right now. You're up here. So, you got big heels to fill. So, anyway, we look forward to your continued success. In the spirit of conservatism at the treasurer's office, we have really splurged for a key. This looks like the one I'm missing at my house. Get this, Debbie.
Maybe from there.
But we're going to have you folks come up. We're going to get a great picture. We'd like the LGC board to stand with amongst us and behind us, and as we present this key.
So, Treasurer, would you like to do a vote first?
One more.
The resolution on return control.
Need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution to
So moved. Second.
Second, motion second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
All right, that was a Marshall Wood. Ms. Jacobs.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Butler.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hoffman.
Aye.
And Ms. Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Philbeck
Aye.
and Treasurer.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Congratulations. We'll step around and
Guys go.
Y'all did the work. You've had to work here a week to get a picture.
Michael and Eric are coming too, right?
Yep.
All right, come on, guys.
Say anything about them? Steve West.
Hello. Great to meet you.
Nice to see you. Tall people can sit down. Breaks.
Oh,
The boss.
I like you. Sit this one out. Yeah. You can do it.
Okay. Can we tighten up a little bit? Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Okay. Make sure your face is between other people's faces.
Just a more of a step forward.
How about just trade me places?
All right. Anyway, congratulations, and here's your key to the city. For visiting you. Look at that smile.
Okay. Can we get a real close-up shot of the key so it looks bigger? Or...
Put a magnifying glass in front of it. Grab it with my feet.
You want that one, don't you? No, she was not.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate all you guys are.
Hope we don't see you again.
I don't know. Not in my time. Not in my time.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much. Yeah. Well done. Everybody get the picture? Yes, were you up there? Oh, that's right. Good job. Thank you.
You guys want to see?
Thank you all. See you soon. Okay. We're now to Susan and excuse me, Jennifer, to talk about the consent agenda. Does any member wish to have any?
Lucky 13.
Told him I was more than happy to.
We'll now turn the meeting over to Jennifer and Susan to talk about the FPIC response items, which will be taken individually under attachment C, Clayton, Davie County, and Rolls.
Noon, the first FPIC unit request is the town of Clayton. This is one project, two funding sources, and what I do want to point out is the SRF loan increase. Not 110 million. That's what is SRF loan is up to. The prior SRF loan came to the LGC and was approved in September of 2021. This project has been in development for over, obviously, a year. This wastewater treatment plant and subsequent improvements has gone through some changes. It started out as a design build project and has changed within the last year to a design bid build. They do have bids in hand. The 100 million revenue bonds, the town and their advisors have looked at the benefit of doing a public sale or a private placement. And it was determined that the public sale was the best route, and that is scheduled for tomorrow. The increase in SRF loan would help with the balance of the project. And I'll take any questions, but I will turn it over to Susan to talk about their FPIC.
Jennifer, can we clarify the two amounts are $100 million for the revenue bonds, and it's a $15 million being approved
Increase.
today by the
Increase.
commission, not the 110. So if y'all are looking at the agenda, the second line should read 15 million, not 110 million. It's what's being approved today. 15.15.
Oh.
15 million, yes.
Okay,
And before we go to Susan, Jennifer, on this bond sale that's happening tomorrow, what are the call provisions in the event that interest rates go down? When is it callable?
it's a 10-year call.
10-year par call.
Not for 10 years?
Not
Is that where the market is?
That's pretty standard in public issuance. We've looked at some shorter calls, but there's a premium that town would pay a shorter call, and we decided collectively to stick with the standard call.
Thank you. Sorry.
The town of Clayton, as a result of their 2022 audit, one financial
Sorry,
performance.
Cindy, for purpose of the minutes, that was Mr. Cole who answered that question for the minutes. Thank you. Go ahead. Right.
Reported one financial performance indicator of concern. The town reported a material weakness, a significant deficiency, or a statutory violation that needed to be addressed in a response letter to the commission for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2022. You have a copy in the packet of the town's response to us dated November 7th. And it's on page 12 and 13, pages 12 and 13 in this packet. The PIC reported was that the town's untimely reconciliation of their main operating account during the fiscal year as a significant deficiency. And the delays in the bank recon were attributed to understaffing. The town does take advantage of various banking services that help mitigate the risk of an unauthorized transaction such as positive pay. To remedy the delayed reconciliations, the town hired an assistant finance officer position and engaged a new consultant to perform an organizational review of structure and staffing. Finally, the finance department is updating the standard operating procedures for the bank recon process. Their response to us was satisfactory.
Thank you. And joining us today, in addition to Mr. Cole from Davenport, are he's here on a couple of projects. Rich and Robert are back with us, town manager and finance director. Welcome. Staff's recommendation is to
approve.
Robert or Rich, anything you'd like to jump up and say before you? This board's been dealing with this a long time.
Yes, sir. Say, sir. First of all, good afternoon. Rich Capola, town manager, town of Clayton. Just wanted to say this has been a challenging project. Obviously, the environment over the last year and a half has significantly altered kind of our original plan. This was originally started in 2019. We've adapted. We've made some significant changes that we feel like are in the best benefit to the citizens and ratepayers of the town of Clayton. Right now, we have certainty, which is something that we hadn't had in quite some time with regards to the overall project. So as we move forward here, hopefully with your blessing, we feel like we are on a good path to have this project completed in mid to late 2025, which is seems a lot further out, but as these things move, we are happy to get there as soon as possible. But just thank you for any help. I just also wanted to say thank you to all the staff. We've tried to over-communicate, if you will, with regards to this, as there's been a lot of twists and turns as we've moved through the process and made some tough decisions, again, in the best interest of the town. But we do appreciate all the support that Jennifer and Sharon have provided throughout that.
I'd like to echo Rich's sentiment. We certainly appreciate the collaboration with the Treasurer's Office. Mr. Treasurer, we appreciate your support over the course of this project. Jennifer, you and your staff done an outstanding job working with us and giving us support and working collaboratively in nature. Susan, I appreciate your assistance with this issue as well.
Yeah.
As finance director, I take ownership of the untimely bank recs. But I can like to assure you today that we are current on our bank recs, and we will remain current as we move forward in the future. This is the largest project the town's ever undertaken. So it's a big day for Clayton to be able to move forward. And again, as Rich said, we're hoping we're going to get your blessing today to move forward and get this project across the goal line. We've taken a parallel path on this project in terms of finance, and we were looking at the public market as well as private market. We did have an offer on the private placement, but at the end of the day, we finally made the decision that the public market was going to be the best option for the town, where we were going to get the lowest debt service, lowest interest rate, pursuing that option rather than private placement. So it's also a big accomplishment for us. This is the first time our water sewer fund's been rated. So we got a AA3 from
Rated, not rated.
Pardon? Yes. Rated. Rated.
Rated.
Right.
We deal with that a lot around this.
But it's a big accomplishment for us. So we were, again, a AA3 from Moody's and AA- from S&P. So we're on the map, so to speak, with the water sewer fund being officially rated. We're kind of proud of that. We think first time around that was a pretty solid rating for us.
Scored. It's been scored. Need a better word. Scored. Yeah. Good. Questions, Mr. Bob?
Yes. Isn't this the project for those two major manufacturing plants, pharmaceutical plants you got in Clayton?
Yes, sir. It will support them. The current flow that we have.
How are they coming along? I mean, have they got plenty of help? Are they running? Are they where they thought they'd be at this time?
As most projects are, there's slight delay, but that's actually worked in our favor with how our project has gone.
Isn't this where you went and rode your motorcycle and rode around the buildings? Do you think they're?
I thought that was Roseboro.
No.
Excuse me.
You can walk around Roseboro. Motorcycle ride around these boys' buildings. So the companies where they get out, getting all the help they needed, they're where they think they had planned to be or hope to be right now.
We've been working with them very closely with regards to the timeline of
And
our
what is
project.
going to be their percentage of the use of this capacity?
In the initial phase right now, it's approximately 35% between the two of them.
And down the road, what's going to be their estimated use of the capacity?
Right now, we have a commitment to one of them to provide an additional 900,000 gallons. So that puts them just under 40%. But we do have two expansions available to this project. This will be 6 million gallons per day. It's expandable to 10 million gallons and 2 million gallon trains. So just depending upon their growth, we can time those expansions out based on needs.
And what kind of rate structure have you signed with them?
With one entity, we do have a take or pay reimbursement rate of guaranteed minimum revenue.
Have you had to implement that usage yet?
Not as of yet. They've surpassed any of their minimum.
The largest user is the one that has got to do the take or pay.
That is correct.
Thank you. Other questions?
I do have a question, but it is not related to the per se subject matter of this. It relates to.
That's all right.
I'm looking at these. I guess this is the first time we've had these new forms. I appreciate being able to read them, bigger type. But I'm looking at what we've got, and it's evident in this one, but it also appears in some of the other ones on the consent agenda, where for the finding that it is adequate, not excessive, the response has been filled in bids in hand in some, and then in others it's been a long kind of explanation about why it is a reasonable amount and not excessive. I thought that for the bond market that we had to do more than just bids in hand. Is that now shorthand language for?
Adequate but not excessive is for your finding, for the commission's finding.
Right, but that's based upon bids in hand.
Right, because
that doesn't tell me very much.
Jennifer, just speak up a little.
Okay, I'm sorry. The bids are in hand, and that would make we know that it is adequate. The amount to borrow is adequate, but not excessive. So we know that the town would be borrowing.
I have another question, Treasurer.
Let's see if Secretary Marshall's.
Well,
okay.
We've got others that tell us a lot about market study, a lot about construction development, about, favorable conditions and so forth.
Depending on what it is, the market study and revenue bond. So that is.
So that's additional requirement kind of?
Well, it's a private developer who is having allocation to issue tax exempt bonds. So the actual city of Concord is not, it's not going to be paying for this. It's developer.
There's one here that's bids are in hand, but it says cost estimates have been provided, blah, 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 blah. I'm just asking if just saying bids in hand is adequate for the legal finding of that it is adequate and not excessive. I guess it's a legal question, Cindy.
This is Cindy. What did we have on the other format, Jennifer, on the?
It was the same wording, but we can look into making sure that it's what you need, the terminology that you need, and information.
In other words, your point is whatever the bids are, the amount they're borrowing is not too much, is enough, or the whole package, whatever the fund sources are, it's adequate. And they're not borrowing too much.
Just a treasure. So I would just suggest that it's language that doesn't have to be explained to every new member that comes on. So bids in hand would have to be defined or explained every time there's a new board member. You told us, that's great, and we'll remember it. But then when somebody else new comes on, then you're all over. So probably
understood.
Is that's on the other attachment for the consent. This is Cindy Aiken again. The other attachment that has a glossary, is that, so maybe that, if it's not already part of the glossary.
which can be more helpful.
Sure. Yes.
One stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a legal conclusion, though. It's like a finding of fact.
It's a fine, yes.
So definition does not.
You're looking for, but right off the top of my head, I can't think of what that looked like. The other one that said the same
I
thing.
didn't pull some out too.
I don't think the content has changed.
No, the
just that
content
the way
has
it's
not
being
changed.
presented has changed. So I think overall it's a good thing to circle back on. We'll clarify it. So Dr. Wood's point will make it consistent. Yeah, we'll take care of it.
Bob?
I remember this now. Who signed the take or pay agreement?
Griffiths.
And how up the food chain is he?
So that
What's his level in the?
North American president for Griffiths out of Washington D.C. signed that.
He's not on the site here in North Carolina.
That is correct, but that I don't think that the person on site had the.
This was not signed by the board, was it?
He has delegated authority for the state for North Carolina, is my understanding, or excuse me, for the United States and any agreements that they enter into.
He's still on the job.
That is correct. That's that.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members virtually? Okay. Just some housekeeping things for me. So when I went to the groundbreaking, it's still at the same site. The original groundbreaking was for how many gallons?
6 million gallons. 6 million.
And this is only water, not sewer.
Sewer.
I mean, excuse me. It's only sewer. You're getting your water from Choco.
Currently,
Okay. And the pre-treatment plant that I drove around that's sort of near a railroad track where a line was going to go through the woods. That was at Griffiths. No, that was at Nova Norton.
That was a Nova Norton.
So what's the status of the ownership of that?
So we actually have an executed binding agreement that we should close, I believe, December 19th, to actually sell that back to Nova Nordisk for a total sum of $34.25 million.
So something they gave you, you're selling back to them. I like the sound of that. Okay.
We do, we may not, but for me.
And a large portion of the proceeds from that sale is being used to help offset the cost of the project.
And you selling it back to them, what does that do in terms of does it increase your risk at all?
It actually reduces our risk. It'll shift the permit and compliance point to back into the plant.
Because those are the ones that make the byproduct that needs that, right?
Yes.
Griffles doesn't.
Correct.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just.
Griffles is constructing their own pretreatment facility, so both have pretreatment requirements. Griffles opted to build their own and control their own. That's what changed the business plan for us. Originally, that was supposed to be a regional plant that was going to combine both of their flows and any potential others. Since that was originally the plan, both of those entities have purchased the majority of the surrounding land that could turn into additional users. And with current expansion plans that have been announced, the likelihood of having any other user in it being regional severely diminished. So,
And you're concerned about the other corporate user not signing or taking pay. Is that still a concern of yours, or?
Yes, we are still having active conversations regarding that, and their status has not changed with regards to the treatment. They are subject to the normal rules.
Are the same people still running on site at that plant?
My understanding, there is a leadership change that is in the works.
Well,
Is that the one where they wanted the plant manager to sign it?
Well,
Take
there's
or
a lot
pay
of things we
contract.
can say about that meeting, which we won't, but.
For Mr. Treasurer,
Let me ask you this, have you got any type of holding lagoon in the event whatever goes wrong, you can divert the water for estimated number of days? I think I discussed that with y'all earlier. As a holding lagoon, is that part of this deal, or?
there's equalization tanks that hold a certain amount, as well as the old facility that we have that is adjacent to one of our pump stations. We're actually looking at if we can repurpose those the existing tankage there to provide some additional storage.
But there's not a new,
not an open pit lagoon.
not an open pit emergency lagoon that you can divert the water in, keep running your process, and then at a point in time, take the water out of the lagoon and process. So you have not done that.
We have equalization tanks that we can offload some of that flow to, let those fill up, and then draw back down, as well as when the initial plant is open at 6 million gallons per day.
You got tanks that'll take 6 million gallons of water a day.
It's 3 trains. Yes, not the individual equalization tanks are not 6 million gallons total. They're about 1 million gallons each. So we have some slack in the system, if you will, as well as we have the city of Raleigh. We have an agreement through 2027 with them to be able to send up to 1.75 million gallons from the pump station located at the same site as the treatment facility. So we can divert flow up to Raleigh if we have issues that we have to address the capacity of our plant.
And all the water's going to end up in the Neuse River.
That is correct.
And when I was riding around the edge of the building to the pretreatment plant, that's where the line's going to leave the pretreatment plant to get to your new line.
That is correct. The portion of the program that's noted here is the ECIA expansion. That is still expanding that pump station and building a new pipeline, basically from there to Sam's Ranch plant.
But was there a train track situation?
That is correct.
I remember that correct?
That is correct. And we are going the opposite way of the train.
Going the opposite way of the train.
Trying to get away.
All right. Well, we've been working with you for this for a long period of time, so these are all kind of questions that kind of come back up. So, any further questions or comments? Is the theater still up and running?
It is.
Steakhouse still up and running?
It is. We got some great programs coming up.
My wife's working 6 days a week, and I can't ever get her here on Wednesdays. It's Wednesdays, right?
Well, now we're back to normal programming, so we have stuff throughout the week, particularly on weekends.
Okay. Love you.
Parade on Saturday.
Huh?
Parade on Saturday.
Okay. Thanks. Well, thank you all. Do I have a motion? I'll entertain a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
So moved. Alder Wood.
Second. Second, Secretary Marshall. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Clayton, motion Wood, second Marshall. Ms. Jacobs?
After consulting with LGC staff, I don't believe there's a conflict here with their vote, so I would vote aye.
Thank you. Mr. Burns?
Aye. Sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Butler? Ms. Harvey?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman?
Aye.
Thanks. And Mr. Philbeck?
Aye.
Senator Caldwell?
Aye. Thank you all. Good to see you again. Congratulations.
On behalf of the mayor and council and residents of Clayton, I want to say thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Next one is,
The next FPIC unit is Davie County, and this is for a state revolving loan for $39 million. For the expansion of water treatment plant from 2.6 to 3.5 million gallons a day, and to upgrade and replace the items at the end of their service line. And I will turn it over to Susan.
Thanks, Jennifer. So Davie County had a financial performance indicator of concern in their June 30, 2022 financial statements. The county had a fund balance available in their general fund that was less than that of their peers with similar size budgets. The county's fund balance available at the end of June 30 was 15.59%. The median of their peers, their peer group, is 39%, and our threshold for that is approximately half of that median, which is 20%. So the county for the last 2 fiscal years has been under the 20%. On pages 19 and 20 of this attachment, that you have the county's response from November 21st. They've adopted a fund balance restoration plan, which they estimate will increase their fund balance. They provided a copy of that plan, and you have it in your packet along with their letter, and their response was satisfactory.
So,
staff's recommendation.
approved.
Any questions? Actually, I'll entertain a motion to take staff's recommendation regarding Davie County. And Robin, are you with us?
She is, Mr. Treasurer. Let's make sure she gets unmuted though so she can speak. Okay, she should be with us now.
Robin West?
I am here. Yes, I'm here. This is Robin.
We can hear you sort of, not much.
I'll try to speak loudly. Is that better?
A little louder.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Any comments to what Susan has already presented, Ms. West?
Well, I will just say, in addition to the plan that we have included in our response, we are taking a close look on, keeping expenditures flat in the general fund for the current fiscal year. We did add $2.5 million to our total fund balance, but unfortunately, most of that was in the reserve for the state stabilization reserve. So we'll take a closer look at that in the upcoming fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to accept staff's recommendation on Davie County?
So moved, Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Jacobs. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
All right, for Davie County, that was motion by Mr. Burns, second Ms. Jacobs. Auditor Wood? Aye. Thank you. Secretary Marshall? Aye. Mr. Butler?
Aye.
Ms. Harvey?
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman?
Aye.
Thanks. Mr. Philbeck?
Aye.
Treasurer Folwell?
Aye. Thank you, Ms. West.
Thank you so much.
Last one is Roosevelt.
Yes. The last FPIC unit is Town of Roseville, they are wanting to borrow $4.6 million in an installment purchase with Truist at a 4.20% interest rate for 20 years to build a new public works facility. And they have a growing town, and I will turn it over to Susan to speak of their FPIC.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer.
Hang on just a minute.
Okay.
Kelly and Amy, I know I was with you recently when I was in Wake Forest, so just be ready. We may ask you to comment in just a moment. Go ahead, Susan.
All right. As of the end of June 30, 2022, the town reported an FPIC in their as a result of their audit. They also reported an over expenditure in their budget that resulted in a budget violation that same year. Both of those FPRCs were related to the same issue. The town budgeted for and acquired a capital asset that it intended to pay for with American Rescue Plan Act funds, the ARPA money. A later change in the ARPA guidance led the town to change course, and they missed a budget amendment that they needed to do because of their decision. The ARPA funds and the related guidance for using the funds are a one-time issue that is not likely to recur, but the town will closely review the budget actual reports with departments going forward to ensure that the budgetary over expenditure doesn't recur. Their response was satisfactory.
Do I hear staff's recommendation do I hear a motion to accept staff's recommendation regarding Roseville? Before doing so, Kelly and Amy, were you able to join us?
Yes, sir. This is Amy.
Yes, this is Kelly. Hey, welcome. Anything you'd like to Treasurer Falwell? Anything you'd like to add to what was said?
No, other than to say, this indicator of concern is in no way indicative of our day-to-day management practices. We do routinely request pre-audits and purchase orders from our departments. That said, as a growing town, we realize there's a need to always incorporate more sophisticated and processes and adapt our policies as we grow. And so we took this opportunity as a moment to step back and review our practices and see where we can do better going forward.
Okay. Kelly?
I have nothing else to add. Again, it was a minor oversight, but it was an oversight on our behalf, and we look forward to your favorable response to let us get going on the Public Works building.
I just got one question. Are the donuts bigger in Roseville than the ones we had this morning in Wake Forest?
Well, we're working on that bakery to get a bigger one, so not quite yet.
All right. Do I have a motion and a second to approve take staff's recommendation regarding Roseville?
So moved, Philbeck.
Second.
Philbeck, a motion. Ms. Alderwood, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
All right, Town of Roseville. Philbeck Wood. Secretary Marshall. Aye. Jacob.
Aye.
Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Mr. Butler. Ms. Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman.
Aye.
Treasurer Fowler.
Aye.
Thank you.
Wilkesboro.
Wilkesboro has come to us under the UAL financing contracts provision, and they are requesting $162,824 in an installment purchase. Also with Truist, their interest rate is 4.77 for 3 years, and this is to buy 2 vehicles and I think it's a truck excavator and a truck flail mower.
All right. All right. What was that thing you mentioned in your speech yesterday morning?
Anaerobic digester.
So
It's not that.
It's not. Well, what's not his list?
You are, I appreciate that.
Mr. Ken and Haley, I'm sure you're on the phone. So,
Yes. So looking at the town of Wilkesboro, they are seeking approval for several pieces of equipment totaling $162,824. And you have the cover letter that the town's finance officer provided to you in this packet. Wilkesboro submitted their audited financial statements for 2020 on August 26th, 2022. Per the information that they provided to us as of preparation for this item, the 2021 field work is in process, but has not yet been completed. The town staff have completed all preliminary work and fulfilled the items requested by the auditors, Baldwin and Jenkins, to move on with the 2021 audit. However, there's probably more information that will be required. And we don't yet have a date for the 2021 audit submission. Staff agree that the town has established a need. The project can't be economically financed with a bond issue and will not cause any increase in property taxes. The purchase is budgeted in the general fund during the current fiscal year, and the town can afford this financing.
they can't afford it.
They can. So we recommend.
All right. Folks, Wilkesboro, are you on the line?
Yes.
Anything you'd like to add to what was said?
I think the description provided is accurate to where we're at, and I will note we are doing our best on the audit process, and we're waiting for the auditor to start asking for additional information.
So your 2021 audit is not in yet.
Correct.
And when do you expect it?
So the auditor, in their correspondence with us that we have also provided to LGC, is that they would begin this audit process in January. We expect it to be probably about a 45-day or so audit. My goal would be that the audit is complete and in your hands by the end of February, at which time we will start the 22 audit. We do expect to have the 22 audit done by summer and be back in on schedule again. I would note, the town lost its finance director at the beginning of this year. He submitted his resignation. He did so, and he was the finance director or auditor officer that put us behind. However, I'm the town manager, so I get all of the final responsibility to get this put back in order. The town had hired a finance tech last fall, almost a year ago, to start providing an additional resource for the finance department to keep up with the paperwork better. And then once he left, I started a search for a finance director. I have a finance director in hand. She's on the line if you'd like to ask her any questions. Haley Ratcliffe. Both her and my finance tech are taking every finance and budgeting class available through the School of Government. And this audit process is going much smoother than the 2020 audit process did, which those two had to do without any previous experience. But then coming in with the 21 audit, as the auditor provided us what documentation he requested, they were able to provide it in a timely manner. And like I said, we are waiting on the next step. So I do feel good that Wilkesboro is on its way out of the situation that we find ourselves in, and would be glad to take any comments or questions from the board at this time.
Questions or comments to Mr. Nolan? But the 22 audit is already due.
Yes.
Yes.
Get that done.
Yeah.
After the 23.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any questions to the board?
I have one or two.
Yeah, so.
How do you know the know they can afford it if you hadn't had an audit 3 years, 2 years?
Well, we looked at their 2023 budget, and they do have the item budgeted. And so that was what we used as a basis. But you're right, without an audit, it is a difficult situation to make that, or without an audit.
Are there any financial statements there at all that you can kind of, I mean, I know they're not audited, but
yeah,
that you can sort of check are they doing their bank reconciliations?
That's a question for Haley.
Yeah, I'd actually be glad to answer both those questions. So we do provide a monthly financial report to the city council. We're glad to provide that to you as well. Of course, we are not working off audited numbers, and I can't change that fact right now. But that is in process. As far as the bank reconciliations go, we are in the process of bringing those up to date. Our prior auditor had his own manual system of doing bank reconciliation, which I believe is one of the reasons what got us in the situation we're in. I directed staff to get us out of that and use the financial software that we have in place, and they have since been able to do that. I believe in late October, early November, we were able to make that transition. They are working through the bank reconciliations now, and Haley's welcome to add any more insight on that as well.
Follow up. Do they not know that bank reconciliations are their responsibility? No.
Susan?
Huh?
Get the bottom of this.
Excuse me?
She had a comment or a question, and I'm trying to, since no one's on the phone, we should be asking.
I had asked the question, does a town not know that the bank reconciliations are your responsibility, not the auditors? And I am surprised that your auditor was doing those.
Excuse me, but I may have misspoke or didn't come through correctly. The auditor has not been doing our bank reconciliations. We are doing them ourselves. They had been done manually in the past by our prior finance director, and I requested to make that a process through our financial software. And so staff is doing the bank reconciliations, and they're working to get them caught up. And I expect them to be such within the next month or two.
You did say auditor, so that threw me.
I apologize for that.
Sorry.
What month are they working on currently? Do you know?
I'd have to defer to Miss Ratcliffe on that if she's on.
Yeah, thank you. This is Haley Radcliffe, Finance Director for the Town of Wilkesboro. We are currently working on June of 2021. We are going back and reviewing the fiscal year 21 audits in our software system to get those called up. We do have some preliminary information from the current fiscal year, but as far as fully reconciling them, we are only through the June 2021.
And Haley, could you speak to when you were able to transition over to the software helping you provide the reconciliation?
Yes, sir. So prior to, I believe it was in October, the financial software had never been adjusted to account for year-end adjustments after the audit. So we spent probably 30 staff hours just bringing the financial end-of-year adjustments up to date to work through those 2020 adjustments and get that into compliance with our system. So it's been a pretty slow and intensive process, but I think we've turned a corner and we're gaining good speed and everything's coming along nicely.
Mr. Treasurer, I appreciate all the efforts, but I'm just going to have to tell you, I just cannot in good conscience approve this debt, given you're so far behind on your financial statement audits and your bank reconciliations. It just sets a bad precedence for this board to approve debt. I don't care what the amount is. So I I appreciate all your efforts and everything y'all have had to say today, but you just have to know that I'm gonna have to vote against this because again, we just can't be proving debt to somebody, a town that's this far behind on bank reconciliations as well as audited financial statements. And I apologize, but it just is.
I was going to say, I would tend to agree with that, but I don't know if there is a way this can be paused, or if you would be amenable, auditor would, if it was paused until, or taken off the agenda until they've had an opportunity to get the necessary information and then brought back on.
Absolutely.
But I do agree for the same reasons the auditor would just said, given how far behind it is, it would be a no vote for me. But I think maybe this can be reconciled if the additional information can be brought forth, and we can really see if there's a basis for that.
Okay. Other board members? This is only the third, I guess, because we had two last month, item that we have presented under the new UAL requirements. By definition, somebody that's on the UAL is going to have financial challenges of some kind or internal control issues or both. Because of that particular status, we are not necessarily requiring these units to have their audits completed in order to come before the commission for debt approval. Before the Toolkit 2 bill was passed, this item would not have come before you. They would have been able to do it without LGC approval.
I know, but still, facts.
That I understand the concern. So if the commission chose to table it, we could do so until such time we got the bank recs caught up. I think to table it until the audits were caught up, it was going to be.
And I think that was the bank reconciliations. The auditor would may want the full audits. We may differ on that, but at least the bank reconciliation.
I'm just saying we're setting a precedence of starting to approve stuff like this when they're this far behind. I think we're just setting a precedence that we should not be setting. Because then you're going to have everybody trying to get on the agenda whether they're ready or not. And I understand. That's why I didn't ask you why are they on the agenda, because I understand why they're on the agenda. But I'm just saying I cannot, and I just think this board needs to be cautious about setting this precedence.
Cindy Aiken, I just wanted to say, since Ms. Jacobs isn't normally here, that other voice was Ms. Jacobs. The other member was Ms. Jacobs.
Oh, yes, sorry, I did not.
That's okay. No, for those listening, she's not usually here. Thank you.
Usually it's a much deeper voice. Secretary.
Is there a motion to table this table this?
Mr. Treasurer, Nancy Hoffman, can I ask one question, please?
All that
I'm
you
just
like.
wondering how critical the timing is on the purchase of this equipment for the city.
So I'm glad to answer that. So, we approved our budget. We entered into requests to purchase this equipment prior to the law taking effect. We received this equipment recently, and now we're here. I will tell you, we'll make it work either way because we are sound financially. I will make sure that we get you some bank reconciliation and show the data with that. If that's what this board requests, we would prefer to move forward anyway. However, I will defer to the LGC, of course. But the equipment is, I think 2 pieces are already here, and one is on order. As you know, you order stuff almost a year out now. It's really a frustration, and we find ourselves in a situation. However, it is completely the town's own doing, and so I sit in front of the LGC, and we'll move forward based on your comments.
Table with.
Y'all do your conscience. Y'all do what y'all have to do.
I'll make a motion we table it.
Okay. I'll second.
Should we put some?
Can we put some parameters on that? Yeah. So, do you want to table it until they do the bank reconciliation?
as a minimum.
Okay. So I think it's your motion technically, so you'll have to say.
Okay, motion on that, to table this with the requirement at a minimum that the bank reconciliation being.
So bank reconciliations are current, auditor, what's the bank reconciliations are current?
Current? I mean, I don't know what good it is if they're not current.
Current.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not current, the current year budget to actual information is not useful that we use to depend to make our decisions.
If it's to current, then I would second Mr. Butler's motion.
What's current mean for the non-accountant in the room? Within 30, the last.
Remember last month,
The prior month.
Last month. At this point, this early in December, current would be as of October 31st,
Okay.
2022.
I will second that.
Motion is second on the floor. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, the clerk will call the roll on the motion to table.
All right, and if, and the state, jump in, please. This was a, Mr. Butler motion, second by to table this Wilkesboro matter till such time as the town bank reconciliations are made current via financial expert definition. And that's presented to staff. All right. Butler, Auditor Wood. Aye. Secretary Marshall. Aye. Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Philbeck.
Aye.
And Treasurer Fowler.
Aye. Ken, Haley, thank you for joining us. We know that you've got a lot of work ahead of you, and we look forward to seeing that work.
We'll take care of it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Treasurer, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
And this would be Susan or Sharon, either one. What happens when what are the consequences to somebody going out getting into debt and not getting the LGC approval?
They will have to they will have to pay for it. They have an obligation. They'll have to pay for it out of their operations funds.
This or risk a breach of contract with their vendor.
Return the equipment.
Okay.
So a financing contract is going to be void without, if it was required to have LGC approval, as in
Same thing as Spring Lake.
Town Fire Station. Then it's void. Vendor has no recourse at all. But if they haven't entered in, if they can pay cash, or
So
if they have to return it.
So if we say no, if we were to vote all no today, then they can't borrow the money. They'd have to take it out of their.
Or return it.
Or return the, okay, all right, that's what I need to know, thanks.
And I just want to make sure, this is Sharon, everybody understands, they have not closed the loan. They ordered the equipment, they've taken delivery of the equipment. They haven't-
Yeah.
It was all about the loan.
Unlike the other situation that was closed.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. What if it was like Project Grace down in Wilmington, where it was pending LGC approval? Well, we're going to start forward on this. Even after they'd spent $2.5 million, which they have. New Hanover County owns that set of plans right now. Is that a just case by case situation, or is that anything we could encourage, that there'd be a statement before we go out and incur a debt on front end loader or dump truck or whatever that said they're doing this pending the LGC approval of?
Well, they're just running the risk.
Yeah.
They're running a risk that they don't get the approval and it has to come out of their pocket versus being able to get them loan, right?
Yes.
But they don't know they've got to have LGC approval.
Yeah, they do.
You think so? A little farmer tractor dealership in Burgo.
I didn't mean the vendor, I meant the town.
Yeah, well, the town, I know the guy that's going to sell it to them.
No. But then they'd have to sue.
So this is Cindy. It's possible they got caught. That's the wrong word. They were,
The time.
the law passed, and became effective
In July.
October
Summer.
1st. And if they have to order way ahead.
Oh, that's all fine. They just should have had, if they'd had the books and all that in a, this would be a conversation, but they don't.
I think that down in southeastern North Carolina is referred to as, we'd rather ask for forgiveness rather than seek.
All right. Next.
The next item is the consent agenda from the Asheville Housing Authority, all the way miscellaneous action item of the modification to a previously approved project for the Wake County Housing Authority.
Does anybody wish to have any item on the consent agenda pulled for a separate vote? Hearing none, we do have some guests from Boiling Springs Lake that are here and available for to answer any questions about the dam situation there. Just read that. And so, no interest in having anything pulled from the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Ardenwood.
Second, Nancy Hoffman.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Consent agenda, just repeating one more time, it's from Asheville Housing Authority through the miscellaneous item of Wake County Housing Authority. Wood, Hoffman. Secretary Marshall? Aye. Ms. Jacob?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Mr. Butler?
Aye.
Ms. Harvey?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Philbeck?
Aye.
Treasurer Falwell?
Aye. Okay. We're now on to the consent agenda. We're Susan for unit updates.
I have the unit updates. They're there for you to review in attachment F. There is no unit update this month for Pikeville, you'll notice. We don't have any items that need to be voted on. So as you review those, if you have any questions, please let us know. Okay. Nothing specific. So turn it back over to Sharon for the next.
All right. Let me just, does anybody, we're not quite used to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's slow that down a little bit.
Okay.
Normally we go through all these Eureka, Cliffside, Robersonville, Keep Town, Spring Lake, and the FAAs.
Yes.
Since there's nothing to vote on, all the information regarding that is in your board material.
Yes. Yes.
Does anybody have any question regarding any of these updates that are in the board material? Well, I'll give everybody a moment.
I read them today.
Has Spring Lake hired an attorney? You know his name?
The question for the record is, has Spring Lake hired an attorney yet?
Yes, they have Michael Porter.
He's someone who represents other municipalities.
Susan, does he have other municipal experience?
Yes. Yes, I do believe.
And we worked out an arrangement on the loan from South River.
Yes, sir, that was approved back in September? September.
Yes, September. Yes, because the first payment was made on
It was due
October
October
1st.
But yes, we worked that out for a 20-year
term with 18-year.
2-year,
So 2-year.
Have we had any communication with the senior level of management of the electric co-ops in the state of North Carolina? We'd like to have those things brought before us before they do another one like that.
I think they're aware.
They're aware. I don't suspect that'll happen again. Is that what you want to hear? Yeah. Mr. Butler asked if Spring Lake had hired an attorney yet. Mention the name. Is that person associated with the attorney that left as the attorney for Spring Lake?
Excuse me?
Is that person that was just hired?
Is he with the Charleston group?
Oh, no. Sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Cumberland County attorney.
It is, yeah, it is.
Last name Porter.
Porter. Michael Porter.
Any other questions about Spring Lake? We, as been reported, we have received a contract regarding Spring Lake Town Manager. Staff's recommendation regarding that contract. Staff's recommendation would be not to approve that contract. Be glad to put that to a vote if you would like to, or now that you've heard how the staff feels about that, we can move forward.
Was that on the agenda for today or no?
Okay. All right. Now, sure.
All right, moving on to
But
attachment.
I would entertain a motion
You entertain a motion to what?
to deny the contract.
Oh.
Want to make that? I would entertain a motion to deny the staff's, to accept staff's recommendation to deny the contract.
So moved. I move to vote on the staff's recommendation to deny the contract.
I'll second that.
Motion is second being made. Any further discussion?
I guess maybe y'all have the information, but I don't believe I have any information, any information as to why that recommendation was taking place or the basis of it.
Yeah, I don't
Other
either.
members do, but
Is it on the agenda?
it's not on the agenda.
No, I'm just came up and
Sharon?
go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Generally, you don't need to unless you're going to talk about specifics about a personnel matter.
Even if you're going to talk about a person's qualifications. Especially.
From what I understand, you're talking about it. The motion is to deny approval of the employment agreement. If you're going to talk about specifics related to personnel matter, you need to give it a closed session.
Yes.
I would agree.
That's if you want to discuss further. If the commission wants to take the staff recommendation, then you don't need to, and without further discussion, I don't think you need to go into closed session.
There are several commission members, I think, that don't have information to vote.
Yeah, I would not feel comfortable voting.
It's not on the agenda. I'm not sure what I'm voting on.
Advisable to do it since it's not on the agenda?
That's another point.
Take a motion. I can rescind it.
We have,
She's going to rescind her motion.
Yes.
Okay.
it's the commission's agenda. You may add items to the agenda.
Without public notice.
Motion's been rescinded.
This is a public meeting. I don't believe there's a requirement to have every item that might come up during a public meeting to be made public.
May I ask who is speaking? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, that was me, Cindy.
Thank you.
Motion's been rescinded.
I was answering Secretary Marshall's question about, can the commission consider an item that was not posted on the preliminary agenda posted to the public? And I'm not aware of any requirement of having every item that could possibly be discussed be made available to the public ahead of time.
All right. Motion being rescinded, we'll now turn the meeting over to item 24 for Sharon. Special units for plans for units for late audit.
This is attachment G to the agenda. Last month, we gave our bi-monthly report on the 14 units that are 2 or more years behind on their audits. And you asked us for a plan on what we were going to do to address those 14 units. And this attachment is a summary of what we have come up with to date. So we looked at each of the 14 units to determine if their problem was a systemic issue or if it was a one-time event or a couple of events that happened that threw them off track. And they have before that they had a history of being on time. And so we broke the 14 into 2 groups. The 8 there at the beginning of this attachment are ones that we believe have systemic issues that cause them to be habitually late on their audits. Our plan to start out with for these 8 is to meet with them in a small group and find out what they believe are their stumbling blocks to getting their accounting records current and keeping them current. We're also going to have similar meetings with their auditors and with their bookkeepers if they have them. Because there are at least 2 of these units that do have third-party bookkeepers and they still can't get caught up. Once we meet with these units, we'll develop an individual plan for each on what they need to do to get caught up. And it will be similar to the FAAs, I think, that Susan has for people that are on the unit assistance list. Obviously, these are all on the unit assistance list as well, but they're on there because we don't have an audit. So we will develop an individual targeted plan for each one. It will be aggressive, if at all possible, on what they need to do. If they need to hire more help, they need to hire more help. If they need to hire a different auditor, we'll facilitate that as well.
I have a question about the list.
Yes, ma'am.
This says 14 who are at least 2 years behind on their annual audits. Yet the second 6 says they turn their audits in the same calendar year as fiscal year being audited. So help me understand.
Okay. Yeah, I probably didn't word that as well as I could. The second set, the 6, these are before they ended up 2 years behind.
So they are still 2 years behind.
They are behind as indicated here on the document. But before that, they were typically on time or close. They don't have a history of being 2 years plus late. All of these 6 are making progress. See, several of them have turned in at least one audit at this point. Bailey and Green Level, again, are making progress. They haven't been able to complete an audit yet. If at any time any of these 6 turn into a systemic issue, we'll move them over to the other list and develop a plan for them too. I do think these 6 will eventually get there.
I just didn't understand that first sentence.
Okay.
And then the other sentence about all of them being 2 years late.
Well, they're actually all 3 years late now, but
another question and then a comment, please. Is Princeville caught up?
no, they are not, but OSBM is handling that through their grant funds that they've set aside for Princeville.
Why aren't they still on here?
I'm letting OSBM manage that. They've got contracts which, I mean, they run it through us. They follow the proper procedures.
How many years behind late are they now?
They just turned in 20.
I think they turned in 20.
Oh, okay. Because at one time they were 8 years behind.
Yeah, they're
So,
catching up.
okay, yeah, they were 8 years behind. So they're, yeah, they're catching up.
To be fair, we had to waive most of those years because the records were destroyed.
I was gonna say, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because after, you're a couple years behind, then the information is just so out of date.
It was, yeah.
To spend the money on an audit makes no sense. So I'm great, I'm glad to hear that. The other thing is, I do hope we're putting the majority of this responsibility back on them.
We are.
And not the staff of the LGC to fix their problems.
Our role will be to facilitate them doing what they need to do.
And I'm interested to hear their reasons. If it's lack of a finance officer, if it's lack of accounting staff, whatever, then they're just going to have to go out and hire it or become unincorporated. Because you can't just not manage the money of the taxpayers. You just cannot do that.
I mean, status quo is not going to be an option.
That's right. That's right. But again, y'all have killed yourselves. The staff of the Local Government Commission has killed themselves to get some of these local governments back on track, and just it's not sustainable. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is mine as well. Attachment H. Just a summary of all the bond referenda from calendar year 2022. Totals up to over $4.7 billion of approved bonds, referenda, not issues. From Guilford County's $1.7 billion down to Matthews and Boylan Spring Lakes with their $20 million and $35 million issues and everything in between there.
All of them.
They all passed, yes. So we'll be seeing these folks on future agendas.
Next item.
The next item is LGC meeting dates. Normally, we try to keep the dates consistent with the Council of State dates. Unless they released them in the last couple of days, we don't have those yet. Okay, so they don't have them. Our January meeting will be January the 10th. It's put off a week because of the holidays. February and March, we're back on track with the first Tuesday. Both of those months, the meeting will be on the 7th. And April through December is to be determined once Council of State releases its schedule.
So that last part again?
April through December, we have not scheduled yet because we're waiting on Council of State.
So January is the 10th.
The 10th.
February and March, same.
The 7th.
And then April, once we see the Council of State, through December. Okay. Done.
I don't know if any of you, but I have popcorn, I get cramps. Not you. All right, Mr. Butler.
Is there a reason why there's nothing on the agenda where we're signing off on these water issues, these studies that's been coming through? Is that over with, or just nobody was in the pipe this time, or what?
Are you referring to the Iowa Utility Reserve grants?
Yeah.
Those are awarded twice a year. We'll have another batch in February or March.
Okay. All right. We're through our agenda. Board members, thank you, those virtually and otherwise, for joining us. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Are you doing it in honor of? Are you doing it in honor of that officer?
Yes, I did not get his name. Had a deputy in Warren County that the governor informed us today that was killed in the line of duty due to a traffic accident, responding to a call. And we would like to adjourn his honor, which deserves. Yes.
Jose De Leon.
Yes. And do I hear a motion to do so? Ms. Marshall makes the motion, second.
Second.
Talking to him.
I didn't hear you. I didn't pay attention on that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
We're adjourning in honor and memory of Warren County Sheriff's Deputy Jose De Leon, sadly killed in a traffic accident in the line of duty. Marshall Wood, Ms. Jacobs.
Aye.
Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Mr. Butler. Ms. Harvey.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hoffman.
Aye.
Mr. Philbeck.
Aye.
Thank you. And Treasurer Folwell.
Aye. Wish you all a Merry Christmas, and we're hereby adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.